It's now time for What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville, with the host, Mr. Sam Parada, and here he is.
Good afternoon, Asheville. This is What's Up Asheville here on WRES 100.7 FM. And today we have James Shelton with the city. You are the division manager for the economic development side of Community Economic Development Department. How are you today?
Doing good, Sam. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah. James is newish to the city. And I say newish because I feel like you came in about a month before the storm.
Yeah, September 4th was my first day, and about 3 weeks later, we had the hurricane.
Mm-hmm. And he's been doing a great job since. So, what a time to come in.
It's been a wild ride. Baptism by flood is kind of
Baptism by flood.
It's been the phrase that has stuck out to me since I started. Yeah, but it's been. I would rather be nowhere else than working here.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather not have anyone else either, because you came in and I'm like, this poor guy, he's just thrown in the middle of everything, and he's going to have to be a big part of the recovery process, which you are. And from the gates, you were just, kicking butt all the way through.
Thanks, Sam. Well, listen, it's an honor to be working for the city. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else right now. Mm-hmm. And our community has been through a lot.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long process. And I say that on every episode. We're here for the long haul. But we had good people like James. So right now, the main reason James is on the show is to talk about the CDBG, which, please help me.
Yeah, so I'm here to talk about the Community Development Block Grant Program, mm-hmm. of which the City of Asheville participates every year. But this year we received a special allocation through the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. So CDBG-DR.
Yeah.
So we'll just say DR. So it's a disaster recovery program.
It's not a Dominican Republic. I think about that all the time. But yeah, so anything, we'll just say DR from now on, just so you know. Because you don't want to hear us say CDBG.
No, we're gonna lay off acronyms today as much as we can, man. No,
Thank you.
I'm not gonna spill all that on the city today.
So DR specifically is a federal grant that is only for emergencies.
Yeah. So disasters happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they happen with some regular frequency. And every time a disaster happens, there's always the opportunity for the federal government to come in and provide support. And the DR program is one of those avenues that the federal government has for providing investment in disaster-impacted communities. Mm-hmm. So on January 8th, the City of Asheville learned that we're going to get a $225 million grant, Sam.
Right.
This is a big deal. And it's like, we're so excited to have this. We're extremely grateful for this opportunity to invest in our community. Mm-hmm. This was a historic event.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, historic event for the storm, first of all. We have never gone through something like that in 100 years. But also historic, I think, in terms of how quickly we received the money.
Absolutely. Yeah. So most disaster-impacted communities that see any kind of DR, disaster recovery investment through this program can wait like over a year before they even hear that they might receive this kind of money. And here we are 4 months after our storm. We're still in, kind of an immediate recovery phase. Mm-hmm. So we're extremely grateful for our local representatives who have lobbied the federal government for these funds, and we're extremely grateful to Congress for allocating these funds for Asheville. Mm-hmm. Just a note, Asheville received this allocation, but the state of North Carolina also received a $1.4 billion allocation that's going to go to the remainder of Western North Carolina, including right here in Buncombe County.
Yeah, and the number $225 million is pretty sexy, whatever you want to call it, but there's a little caveat, which
we can say sexy on this program?
I think we can.
Okay, cool.
Cool. We said it twice already. All right. If Randy will come here and be like, don't say that anymore.
Okay.
So that's a big number, but there's always a but. We cannot just simply spend it right away, and we cannot just, give out a lot of money to people immediately. So tell me exactly how the process works and why it's so important that we follow procedures and what the procedures are.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Sam. It's a great question. So first of all, these funds are for long-term recovery investments. We have 6 years to spend them. So we're crafting a action plan right now that is going to inform how we make those investments over the next 6 years. So over the next few weeks, we're going to have several community engagement opportunities, community listening sessions. Be watching the City of Asheville channels, everybody, for announcements on when these will be and where they're going to be happening. We'll have some in-person events and some virtual ones for our community and our local stakeholders to hear about what this program is, what we can do with it according to the federal rules. But we also really want to hear, like, what are the ongoing needs that our community has? This disaster impacted our community in so many ways, and there's been a lot of help come to our community since the storm. And listen, it's awesome to see how much resources have come to Western North Carolina and right here in Asheville from our state partners, our nonprofits, private citizens just helping one another. Man, it's been so great just to watch everybody come together. So a lot of needs have been met. There's been a lot of resources come in, but we know that there are things that just have not been addressed yet. There's ongoing serious problems that resulted from this storm, and that's where these funds can come in. And that's what we want to hear from our residents over the next few weeks as we're creating this plan, is like, what are those unmet needs? Once we've kind of got a solid understanding of what those needs are related to the storm, we'll start doing some program crafting around addressing those needs specifically. So there's 3 categories of activities that we might fund with this money. The first is housing. And so we know that a lot of houses and apartment buildings were impacted by the storm,
And not only that, but before the storm too.
Yeah, totally.
Asheville has been going through a housing crisis for many years. And right now we have the Affordable Housing Plan implementation, which just went to cancel last night. So that is an avenue that will be, and they reassessed it to meet with recovery necessities as well. And on the other hand, we have the DR funding that will also help with the housing problems that we have. And then we have infrastructure. And what's the last one?
Housing, economic revitalization.
Yes. I don't want to say that word because I'm going to mess it up. Revitalization.
No, it's all good. You did well.
So just to go back a little bit, February is public engagement. And this is going to be very specific for the DR funding. If you're listening and want to participate, you should participate because now more than ever, engagement is a big necessity. We recently, and by the time this episode comes out, there's, this Wednesday, the 29th, the survey for recovery priorities is out still.
Everybody take the survey.
Take it now.
Take the survey.
Spread it out. And it closes on the 2nd of February. So, while we analyze the data, at the same time, James is going to be carrying out public meetings where you can come and learn what DR is, and then help him out, give him your unmet needs that you may have, because this is really going to pave the way as to how the $225 million will be spent. From that point, James will work on a plan, and this is going to be taking place around March. And once the plan draft is out, more public comment.
So what we're doing right now is writing the plan, and we're getting all this really good feedback and public input to create and write the plan. And in March, we're going to put it online. We're making a website right now that's going to be online in the next few weeks. And folks can go online, read the plan, look at how we're proposing to use these funds, and let us know if we've hit the mark or if we need to kind of think about other things. We're going to have a 30-day public comment period starting in March. Once that wraps up, we're going to respond to all those public comments, incorporate the feedback into the plan, and then take it to council in April so that we can submit that plan to HUD, which is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I said I'm not going to do acronyms. That's the only time I'm going to say it. But we'll submit the plan to the federal government.
Yes.
So that they will approve the plan, and then we can start making investments, and we can start launching programs.
We can get started as early as July.
Potentially, yeah.
When we follow the timeline provided to us by the federal government. So lots of engagement opportunities, but I'm saying it right now, live on radio and then recordings for the next 2 weeks. Hold us accountable. We want to close the loop with you. There's a very intentional process for this engagement. Tell us your needs throughout February, and then in March, read the plan and tell us what you like or dislike about it. So for those 30 days, James and his team can look at it, make the changes, and then off to the federal government. That is to say, the plan will continue to have amendments throughout this process. That's what happens for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a really great point, Sam. This plan that we're writing right now is a starting point. And as you mentioned earlier, we're super early in our recovery process. So we're still really understanding and evolving as a community right now around disaster recovery. And our needs are still just kind of coming into light as to what they actually are. Mm-hmm. And we do expect to make amendments to this plan over the entire life of this grant, over the next 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, because our needs are going to change. Other resources are going to come to light that we weren't, necessarily aware of that might come.
Yeah.
So we want to be adaptable, and we are going to be, reviewing data as our economy changes, as we recover over time, and then we'll make decisions on how we program those dollars to respond to the changing needs. So it's super exciting to have this kind of resource that can really adapt to our local situation.
And it's not only 6 public meetings in February, and then we have a few more in March. You've been also talking with different groups. I know that we'll be creating pamphlets and taking them out. So like economic resilience, revitalization.
Yeah.
So we're tackling all the different avenues because it's a lot of money.
It is, and we need to be good stewards of it. Mm-hmm. We have a big responsibility to invest these funds for the long-term vitality of our community.
And that is why I've seen people very excited for the money, and that's why I'm like, yes, but here are some expectations. Mm-hmm. It's gonna take time to. We have guidelines from the federal government.
Yeah.
So we gotta meet those first. Otherwise, there's no money.
Absolutely.
And then at the same time we're gonna have the website up. You can see the investments that have been made with whatever amounts of money have been invested on them. You'll be able to follow the process and the progress of this funding. Now, are we getting a check, like a one-time check with $225 million, or what's the process for the money?
That's a great question. No, the federal government does not actually come to Asheville and hand us a $225 million
Dang,
check.
I would have loved to receive that.
It would be super cool. But we did have the secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development here in Asheville back earlier this month. The governor was here to make the announcement, and it was so touching to me to see the governor here and the HUD secretary in Asheville to make this announcement. I mean, people are paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah, and that was after that was 3 months after the storm. Mm-hmm. So it's rare for a situation like that to happen because when like Katrina hit or like any other big hurricanes in Florida, they hit. People pay attention while it's happening, and then media platforms start dropping them. People start paying attention because we have lives and we stop looking. But they were here, they helped us, and we'll continue to be using that assistance forever.
Yeah. So I mean, to your question, once we start funding programs and everything, we'll be able to request that funding on a programmatic basis, over the life of 6 years. So we won't actually have $225 million sitting in the city of Asheville.
Yeah,
it comes in as we need it. But it's definitely set aside and allocated, and we're super excited to put it to use.
I mean, yeah, I don't know when else I'm gonna get $225 million to, I don't want to say play with, but use and spend and be part of a project that uses that amount of money.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. Like, and I've said this from the beginning of our recovery. Like, City of Asheville took some really important steps early on in the recovery to invest in rental assistance and home repair, and we invested in business recovery grants, and it's been great to see this response. But we're just like a part of the overall recovery portfolio of the landscape of recovery coming in. Mm-hmm. We can only do a small bit, but it's so important for us to do our part. And the DR grant is a part of the recovery. FEMA has been here, and they've provided a lot of assistance to individuals. They've also provided a lot of assistance to the City of Asheville to help pay for our recovery efforts. And we're also in a process right now working with FEMA to document our losses to our city resources, like our parks and our greenways and public facilities, so that we can start recovering those things too.
Yeah, and that is part of the unmet need assessment. So, and we have the county helping out too. They help a broader population than we do, but they're still part of the team. And we have all the private and public entities out there that are helping as well. So that is a very good point. We think of the city sometimes as the one and only provider, but we're just part of that team helping Asheville get better. Yeah. Because Asheville is a little sick right now, and this is just part of the solution. I want to ask, who benefits from DR? Because it's not like let me give you an example, because I don't have the answer, and I've been meaning to ask you. Yeah. If my house got damaged from the storm, can I come to the city and be like, you have DR money for disaster recovery, can I get a paycheck to help fix my house?
It's a great question, Sam. I'm glad you asked it. So first of all, these funds are targeted funds. So we have an overall requirement that 70% be invested to benefit low to moderate income neighborhoods in Asheville, or low to moderate income residents. So, for example, if we invest in an affordable housing project, that's going to benefit low to moderate income residents.
Okay.
We could also look at census tracts or areas of Asheville where a certain percentage of those residents fall within that income category, and we'll make those investments there. So 70% of these dollars will go to benefit low to moderate income residents. These are folks who, we know that in disasters, low income residents
are hit the hardest.
Oh, dude, they're hit the hardest. Like, it is so much harder. You have fewer resources set aside to be able to respond to these kind of things. And that's why these funds are so targeted. Is like we want to put the most benefit for the folks who need it the most. So we're excited to make that kind of investment for our residents who need it the most. So the second part of your question about if your house got damaged, so the first thing is well, what has your insurance said, and then what has FEMA been able to provide to you? And that's part of the unmet needs analysis that we go through, and we want to see has your insurance done everything they're supposed to? Has FEMA been able to provide you help? Because that's what FEMA's for. And then if you have anything remaining after that, there are other programs too, but we are looking at potentially standing up home repair programs.
Well, we already are.
Yeah, absolutely. We've already got some home repair programs stood up, but we certainly have an opportunity, if we identify that need is still out there in our community, to invest further in that.
So how do you envision, before I jump to the next question, the other 30%, what do you do with that?
Oh, it's a good question. So, and it leads me into the national objectives of the Department of Housing and Urban Development under this program. So one of the national objectives, as I just mentioned, is benefiting low to moderate income residents. So 70% has to go to meet that goal of investing in low to moderate income residents or neighborhoods. The second goal is meeting an urgent need, which means that it doesn't necessarily have to be invested to be in one of those low to moderate income neighborhoods or residents, but to meet an urgent need means to address something that came about as a result of the storm. So we have a lot of opportunity to get creative with that.
Yeah.
When we think about how we invest in, all of our public infrastructure, when we look at economic revitalization, when we look at, potentially investing in a workforce that, we know we're going to need people with skills and certifications to help us recover over the long term. How do we invest in our residents right here in Asheville to be part of that recovery effort and get paid doing it? Like that's we want to definitely invest in our locals, invest in the people that live right here in Western North Carolina to get skills and get certification so they can come and be part of building Asheville back for the future. It's super exciting. So the other 30% can go to it's really kind of wide what we can invest in, but it really needs to have a direct tie back to the disaster and recovery.
30% sounds like a little, but when you're, working with 225 million, it's a very substantial number too.
It is.
And we meet and talk about DR almost every day, and me and you and like the team and everyone, there are so many people involved, and I think up until now I didn't really put in perspective like what you can do with the money in terms of like, providing services, assistance, and like the workforce example you just gave me. That's a lot of work to do.
It is a lot of work to do, Sam, and we're going to go through a process over the next couple of months to look at our staff capacity. That's one of the biggest concerns we have around our ability to administer this in the long term, and we are very much looking at how do we build capacity at the City of Asheville to administer this over the long term. It's going to require us to bring in additional staff resources. So there are funds within this grant, about 5% that we can set aside for administrative costs.
Yes.
And we're going to use those funds to invest in bringing on additional support, training our staff, bringing on contracted help. So we're really excited to have that opportunity to expand our capacity to properly run this program. And, like I said, it's a federal program. We have to run this thing the right way.
Yes.
We're also going through a financial management and grant certification process right now where we're providing every bit of like financial documentation we can to the Department of Housing and Urban Development to show like we can be responsible stewards of this. And for me personally, it's extremely important. Like
accountability
is top of mind, man. So we have to be responsible with this. We have to be strategic about it. So looking at, what are those unmet needs in our community and how do we make investments where this is a catalyst for our community's comeback, our community's recovery. It's a historic opportunity, man. Like it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, when we go through this engagement process, and the plan is finalized for now, we can start receiving the funding and implementing. What is your vision from that moment forward? Like, how do you see, what kind of projects do you see, or like, just tell me, what do you think?
Well, first of all, the projects and programs that we fund will be informed by our unmet needs analysis.
Correct.
So we will not fund any type of program or project that doesn't have like a tie back to that unmet needs analysis. But we're excited to hear from our community and from City Council about their vision.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely incorporate that. But over the next 6 years, Sam, like we got a lot of work to do. So I foresee us having this initial ramp up phase over the first couple of years where we're bringing on capacity, we have access to the funds, and we put out applications for an RFP for the types of programs that we want to fund, and we identify partners we really want to work with our local partners as much as possible. So these, our local partners know our community. They're here. They're ready to get going and like continue serving our community and investing in our comeback. But I foresee it, the first couple of years of this program being a large ramp up of investments, and then kind of a bit of a tapering over the 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah,
identifying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing reassessing and following up and making sure our investments are moving forward, and then over the course of year 5 and 6, we'll really be wrapping up those programs and projects that we've invested in. So it's a long haul, man, and we're not being like, we're not shying away from it, but we're staring this thing right in the face that we got a lot of work to do, but we're getting ready.
I mean, yeah, you and your team and all of community and economic development, all of the communications team, like I remember still so vividly walking down the hallway, seeing you on the other end, and you had a face. It's like, Sam, we need to do engagement now. And I'm like, back up. And the reason is because like we got the money so quickly.
Yeah.
And we have to meet those deadlines. And I think you have done such a great job at being ready and like identifying what we need, when we need it by. Like, you've really been doing a great job at
Thanks,
that.
Sam.
And I mean, yeah, I mean that. It's been great. So
Let me just say though, it's not just me. Like,
well, yeah, I said your team.
Me and my team. Like, I've got a great team of folks that work with me. We've got great leadership in our department that has been super supportive and gives great direction. And the other division managers in my team have been fantastic partners. This is a department-wide and it's a city-wide effort. It's not just James Shelton and his community development team. No, this is community and economic development department-wide. It's City of Asheville altogether, working with you guys in communications. We're working with our finance team right now to get ready. We're working with our contracting team. It's a full team effort, and like, wow, what an honor to get to work with all you guys, man. It's at a time like this, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been moving so quickly, and that's why when we talk about engagement and like, we have the February engagement and then we have the March public comments, like, it might seem like a lot, and the reason is because it kind of is, and it's a big deal too. So,
Yeah, the reason we're moving so fast, Sam, is we have a 90-day clock.
Exactly.
From
That's when you came to me. He's you just learned about the DR funding.
Yeah.
It's like, we need to do this now.
Yeah, we're not just making up this sense of urgency. We have a 90-day clock from the federal government that says we need to have an action plan submitted to them. So our clock started on January 21st.
Yep.
We need to have a plan in by April 21st. So that's why you see this sense of urgency. And that's why you're going to see this sprint through February and into March about hearing from our community, reaching out. We're trying to get to as many, existing events that are happening as possible, so that we can hear from as wide of a voice of our community as we can.
Yep. We're being intentional who reach out to as well. And I mean, yeah, just get ready, buckle up.
I'm buckled, man. Let's go.
Oh, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to everybody else.
Yeah, y'all
We're
too.
coming for you. We're running out of time, but I just want to do a final reminder to everyone. Keep an eye on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'll be posting a lot of the dates for upcoming events. You'll get to meet James. He will explain everything to you. You can ask him questions and then provide your unmet needs, because that will help make the draft. And after that, we'll hear from you again. You'll hear from us again. And that's when you'll be able to have a platform to leave comments on the planned draft. James and his team will answer back to those comments.
Oh, yeah.
And based on what we hear, we'll finalize making the plan, submit it to the federal government, and start receiving money. And we're doing it quick too, because we want to start spending. We want to start, building back.
Oh yeah, we've heard from residents already and from our community and our business stakeholders, like, we need to start moving now, and we're moving with a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
But we have to also follow a process. We have to be diligent and good stewards.
Or else no money.
Right, exactly, man. So we're moving with a sense of urgency, but with a sense of serious responsibility too.
All right, I think that covers it. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
Well, this is a big deal. So, and you took the reins of being the spokesperson for this, and you do a pretty good job.
I appreciate it.
So, yeah, if you want to meet James in person, come to the February meetings.
Yeah, be watching out for announcements through Asheville's social channels, and we're excited to see y'all.
Yeah, and that's it for today. Next episode, you'll have a new host temporarily. I'll be away for a bit, but after that, I'll see you again, Asheville, and be good to one another.
You've been listening to What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville in collaboration with WRS 100.7 FM. This program will re-air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30. Thank you for listening.